Dear Microsoft, Activision Blizzard, or anyone in the gaming industry trying to make the next best shooter, you already have the blueprint, and it's Spellbreak. I'll go over the multiple reasons why this game deserves a second chance as either a sequel by Microsoft/Activision Blizzard or a spiritual successor as a different title that embraces elemental-based weapons that have interactions with each other. First, Spellbreak's approach was loved by many, including big streamers and influencers who actually play video games often.
Instant flight's gonna go a long way. All right, so if I pop this guy up, oh my god!
Spellbreak is sick. Why does no one else play this game? Why am I not seeing more people play it?
Guys, this game is dumb lit. Like, it's actually really, really fun.
It's a fun game. It's fun.
Boom! Get out of here, dude! Oh god, I needed that. This is an ad? No. No, it's just a good game.
These individuals were praising Spellbreak without Proletariat sending them big stats of cash to sponsor the game. This is because they knew how great of an idea it was. Truly creative and fun at the same time. And I will talk about the other reasons why Spellbreak deserves a second chance, but first let's talk about the thing that makes the world go around.
Money!
We live in a capitalist society, and one of the backbones of it is supply and demand. So with that in mind, let's play a game. Name me 5 popular PvP first-person shooters. This should be an easy task, right? You probably could blink and name 10 because there's just that many out there. Now, name me 5 popular third-person PvP shooters out right now. A bit harder, isn't it? Of course, you have Fortnite as an easy pick, but outside of that, you start to do a bit of mental gymnastics to fill out the other 4 slots. And I mean really popular games too. Basically, there's a high demand and a high growing supply of these types of games you see over here. However, there's also a good chunk of people who like third-person PvP shooters if done right, and the supply over here is drastically less when comparing the two. It's crazy to me how people say that they're tired of battle royales or shooters with cartoony graphics, but never say anything about first-person shooters in general, the type of shooters trying to rival Call of Duty but just fail so often. There's over 20 new ones that come out every year and you probably just don't know about them. This is just a testament to how many first-person player versus player shooters come out every year. Making video games is hard, and making a successful first-person shooter is even harder, but yet the market keeps flooding us with them, unlike third-person PvP shooters. Basically, we as a gaming community has let Fortnite dominate this market. But there's a reason why. The gunplay in third-person point of view, for most gamers, me included, can be lacking versus the gunplay in first-person shooters. A good third-person shooter, in my opinion, cannot solely rely on its gunplay as the main draw or part of its combat like how many first-person shooters do. Abilities and movement is how you level the playing field in terms of enjoyability. This is something that both Marvel Rivals and Deadlock has done pretty well so far. Shoot, even in the early days of Fortnite, it had building as a unique draw to the game. And nowadays, you can expect every new season to have items that promote some type of movement in a different way. Royale also did a fantastic job at this, but of course, as we know now, Hi-Rez pulled the Hi-Rez special and fumbled on this great opportunity. Now, for me personally, I think Spellbreak did a better job at balancing both the freedom you have with movement and abilities than some of these other titles that I just mentioned. There was a lot of unique skill expressions to be found, and not hard to master either. Now, you might be saying, why invest in this game or make a game similar to Spellbreak in the first place if it died? Well, that is a fair question to ask, but I think people need to realize that Spellbreak didn't die because the concept was bad, but because the execution from basically top to bottom could have been drastically better. Months after the game officially launched, there was little to no new good, impactful content in terms of gameplay that the developers came out with. It felt like they were not prepared for the success of the game, nor were they expecting it to grow as fast as it did. Now, don't get me wrong, Proletariat definitely had AAA talent. I've seen a lot of their employees work for big name studios like Riot and Epic Games today. However, they did not have AAA direction with Spellbreak. It was their first major title, and they struggled with so many bugs, desyncs, and especially the black screen of death for the Nintendo users. Launching the game on 4 platforms with crossplay and progression was something that they were proud of, but you could tell ate up a lot of the development time before and after the launch. Balancing was a nightmare too. they decided to make Stone Shaper too damn strong on release. I honestly don't know why. I felt like they were pretty close to the balancing it during the beta when I started playing the game. They didn't even launch with a battle pass, which I guess today some gamers would probably like that idea. They did scrap together a prototype one, but it took them over a month from the official release to do so. Their first legit one came in the middle of December, which was over 3 months after their official release. Now, I don't like comparing games to the likes of Valve and Riot Games titles because they're pretty much cheat codes. But I do want to compare Spellbreak's release to Epic Games because before Fortnite Battle Royale release, Epic Games had a couple of failed titles or titles that didn't stand the test of time like Fortnite Battle Royale did. When Epic Games saw that Fortnite Battle Royale was booming, they hit the ground running, releasing impactful new content. So much so that Paragon, their other title, was sacrificed in the process. And Spellbreak, either because of manpower or direction, just could not do the same. The game also never introduced a new gauntlet either, which is crazy to me. Imagine Call of Duty or the Finals never coming out with a new weapon. Valorant or Marvel Rivals never releasing a new character. It's a recipe for disaster and the death of a game. Plus for PC users, it was an Epic Games exclusive for like the first 5 to 7 months of its release. That definitely hurt the game too. Not being on Steam during its peak hindered it from reaching a wider player base. However, they were still able to get over 5 million downloads their first couple of weeks. But just imagine how much bigger that number would have been if they launched on Steam. Now, for the Battle Royale elephant in the room. At the end of the day, Battle Royale isn't a genre, it's just a game mode. I feel like coming out with a shooter nowadays requires companies to have this mindset anyways. The idea of not being married to one game mode. The Elemental Fracture community hosts other types of, I guess I'll call them LTMs for Spellbreak. Until this day, people like it. You guys should check it out. They host them on Thursdays. Even Tarkov realized this too when they came out with an arena mode. Apex has a mixtape of other game modes for people to enjoy. Same with Call of Duty and Fortnite too. Fortnite is becoming more like Roblox than anything else with their creative maps, an engine that players can use to create whole new games. I still think there's an area for a Battle Royale game mode to be successful since there's only one popular third-person title on the market. However, Spellbreak 2 or its spiritual successor doesn't need to be a Battle Royale. Of course, you would need a main mode that will entice players the most, and I think that mode should be in an extraction shooter. Now hear me out real quick. Let's go back to the whole supply and demand concept. When it comes to extraction shooters, there isn't much diversity. You have Space Tarkov, Vietnam Tarkov, Call of Duty Tarkov, Wannabe Battlefield Tarkov, and free-to-play Tarkov, which surprise surprise, is slowly becoming pay-to-win Tarkov. Now, there are other games out there like Hunt Showdown that have done enough to make themselves unique from the whole Tarkov clone allegations. But a Spellbreak extraction could be a huge for others to experience what makes these types of games so fun. I know Proletariat had plans for PvE monsters, and basically PvE and PvP is a common trait that you see with these titles. I think a budding extraction audience needs that diversity too, a game that's a little bit more fast-paced, creative, and vibrant. Hawked is a third-person extraction shooter, but its abilities and movements aren't that amazing, especially when you compare them to the other games I mentioned earlier. Of course, not everyone who plays Tarkov clones would probably jump ship, but that was the same case with Fortnite originally too. So many PUBG and H1Z1 players hated Fortnite, but the Battle Royale boom grew because of its diversity. Apex, Warzone, Fortnite, and PUBG till this day do not play anywhere similar to each other. I think the extraction audience needs that diversity. A game that's more fast-paced, creative, and vibrant. Something that Spellbreak already solved as a third-person shooter since its combat was loved by so many. The cool thing about this game mode is that there are no real rules you have to follow. For Battle Royales, it felt like you had to have a buttload of players on a map to get that legit BR experience. However, Dark and Darker proves that players can have fun and an enjoyable time with a map that only holds 10 to 20 people. You can create several maps where some are geared towards PvP while others are more for the PvE side of things. Extraction also offers a lot of freedom in terms of map design similar to Battle Royales, where it could change over time to fit a narrative or playstyle that the community prefers. Also, unlike Battle Royales, multiple people can feel like they actually won in an extraction run. It's not winner take all every time. So you can have multiple different game modes like basic TDM, capture the flag, a baby version of Battle Royale like Rebirth Island in Call of Duty or Fortnite's Reload, with an extraction being the main draw in my opinion. Of course, I named a lot of game modes just now, but I think having an extraction with some like basic TDM, capture the flags, is doable. I also always find it funny how people say Spellbreak was too hard as the reason why it failed. I've played Apex, PUBG, and so many other BRs. Spellbreak during its peak was one of the easiest I've ever participated in. It came out during a time where Fortnite only had a build mode. In my opinion, Fortnite with building is one of the hardest games I've ever played, and people still played the mess out of it during Spellbreak's launch. Even till this day, you'll see that Fortnite builds mode has more people than its zero builds mode. Same thing with Apex, which is a game that's extremely hard to get a win in. There's a couple of reasons why I think people found Spellbreak so hard, and part of that is just knowledge. They didn't know what gauntlets to use or how to use them, as well as which runes were the best. I made videos in the past talking about some changes I would like to see in Spellbreak, like no levitation or movement talents you guys can check out. Just as a heads up, my content back then was very crude and rough, or at least more so than it is now. Lastly, whoever makes Spellbreak 2 or its spiritual successor, if done right, will gain a lot more positive credibility. There's a lot of people till this day that have fond memories of Spellbreak. There are some who are upset at the developers, but that's like minor annoyances because of balancing choices. They don't hate Proletariat like how some people hate EA for their money-hungry business practices, or even Activision Blizzard for a lot apparently. At the end of the day, you won't find hit pieces or hate articles / videos on Proletariat because they were never that bad of a company in most people's eyes. Bringing back Spellbreak or a game similar to it if done right would help you gain a huge influx of loyal and grateful fans. Overall, Spellbreak today can help with the demand of a third-person shooter where the supply is nowhere close to that of the first-person shooters. And it doesn't have to be just a battle royale either. It really just died because of lack of timely, impactful content and poor decisions after its official launch. If Microsoft / Activision Blizzard never picks it up, I'll be more than happy to cover any games on my other channel that tries to replicate Spellbreak's, and no pun intended, magic. If it's good, I'll dedicate a whole video on this channel that's somehow bigger than my first one. You can call me delusional for making this video, I don't care, I'm just having fun on the internet. But stay safe and I'll be yapping in the next one.